Hello guys and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 in a best of 3 between TheMagicMan73 and Chickendew in round 1 of the lower bracket in Chickendew's European tournament. So the Magic Man today going to be playing the 3rd Armoured and Chickendew the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier, and this is Pegasus Bridge. Probably one of my most favourite maps in Steel Division. Maybe not so much for 1v1, but it's definitely a very fun map on 4v4, that's for sure. Mainly due to this town itself in the centre here. It does provide a lot of interesting gameplay opportunities. You've got the orchard here that restricts line of sight as you're crossing between the different buildings. Then on the other side you've got more open ground, but you've got this church here. And this church is honestly kind of a bait in a lot of cases. People put infantry in there and then they just get absolutely wrecked because they can be seen by everything surrounding them. But in the 1v1 version, due to the way that you fight into the town, it's not so bad. It's actually a pretty decent place to have infantry because they can kill units as they come into line of sight around these trees, as you can see. So that's not so bad. Anyway, let's have a look at the deployment that's going down. Magic Man on the top side here, he's going to be relying on some scouts. He's got some armoured rifles, some armoured leader there. He's also got the 6-pounder. Further down we see 2 units of armoured rifles and an armoured rifle leader heading into the town. And then on the bottom side, scouts, armoured leader and 6-pounder. Rather fast deployment there for the Magic Man. On the side of Chickendew, still deploying the majority of his forces, but this is a pretty interesting matchup for sure. 3rd Armoured versus 17th SS Panzer Grenadier. My instinct tells me the 3rd Armoured should win, mainly because the 3rd Armoured has a lot of sort of options for overrunning the 17th SS early on. However, if it doesn't go well, like if the 17th SS brings in, say, a Stug and takes out the M4s that I was talking about with the 3rd Armoured, then you can be in trouble, and that's where things might turn on their head. So yeah, the 3rd Armoured, they have the M4s that can really put a lot of pressure on early on, take out the AT guns that 17th SS has, as well as things like IG-18s that they rely on quite heavily. They don't get pinned down by things like Nebelwerfers in Phase A, so those armoured units can do very, very well against the 17th SS. But like I said, on the other side, the 17th SS does have a 3-star Stug that they can rely on in the early game to sort of counter those armour pieces if the 3rd Armoured decides to invest upon them. And that's going to be something that we're going to have to watch out for. It could always just turn into a complete infantry fest, infantry-like slugfest, but I'm not entirely convinced it should, because the 3rd Armoured has much less infantry availability than the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier. Also, the 17th SS has those Nebelwerfers, Nebelwerfer 41s and 42s, that are very good for destroying enemy infantry. And therefore, if the 3rd Armoured player decides to invest in a lot of infantry, he's probably going to come out a lot worse because he doesn't have the same sort of firepower that he can put back onto the infantry of Chickendew in this case. Let's start to see some of these units coming down now. So there is going to be an AT gun up on the top side here. A couple units of Panzergrens with the Schwimmwagen, which has command infantry. 2 more units of Panzergrens for the town with more command infantry. And also the mortar there. Further down, 2 more units of Panzergrens. There's also a Panzerschreck going to be coming along for the ride. We've got more Panzergrens, more command infantry. And on the bottom side, there's actually going to be some Stosstroop accompanying the AT gun down there. So that's an interesting setup for sure. I kind of expected to see more Stosstroop, especially towards the center of the map, due to these being quite close quarters engagements, and the smoke that the Stosstroop can provide is actually really, really useful. So that would allow them to, or allow Chickendew to play around that and make himself some ground against the weaker armoured rifles in close quarters combat. That's not to say armoured rifles are absolutely terrible in close quarters combat. Actually, they are much better at close quarters, within 100 meter range, than they are at range. But still, the Stosstroop should win out in those engagements, one-on-one at least. There is, of course, these half-tracks as well, and those can also be taken out by a lot of smoke play if Stosstroop are involved, because the Stosstroop with the 17th SS do have the Panzerfaust, so they can use that. So Pak 38 deployed on the bottom side. We have a Pak 38 coming in on the top side, and those are going to be trying to prevent half-tracks from making too much ground. I think the half-tracks are going to have a hard time through the middle of the map, but like I mentioned before, there's not many Stosstroop here, and I didn't say it already, but the Panzergrens don't have Panzerschrecks or Panzerfausts, and that can be a big issue for dealing with half-tracks in the early game. So in these engagements with the armoured rifles here, the armoured rifles just can like kill off or help pin down enemy Panzergrens with the help of the half-tracks, but the Panzergrens can't really fight back. They can pin down infantry quite easily. You can see the armoured rifles here struggling, but they'd have nothing to deal with the fire support coming in from these M3 and M3A1 half-tracks. Their Panzerschreck already died. Like, Chickendew lost that, I believe, to the fire of both of the armoured rifles and the half-tracks. Mortarfire is coming in from the 81mm mortar, which should help out a little bit, but still, these half-tracks aren't going to stop firing anytime soon. You can see just how much damage these Panzergrens are taking because of it. Same goes for the top side. There's no like close range AT. He's solely relying on the Pak 38 up here, which could be a bit of a mistake, but that's got line of sight onto the M3 half-track. Let's see if he can take that out. Okay, managed to force it to fall back. Track wheel damaged. Gonna fall out of line of sight. So if MagicMan sort of recognises that there's not much AT here, he could be very aggressive with these half-tracks in the mid. He's pinned down 2 units of Panzer Grenadiers, and he's taken out the Panzerschreck. So there's always a chance that you could just push up one of these half-tracks and try and make these units surrender without being at risk of being killed by AT. There is a reinforcing Panzerschreck on the way, but MagicMan might have been able to identify that if he had paid some more attention. But there, at the same time, you know, you can't just assume that. So don't take my word for it. From his perspective, it looks a bit bleak. You don't want to just send half-tracks to their death through this area. And also, even if he did get half-tracks close enough to these Panzer Grenadiers, the half-tracks can be blown up by grenades anyway, so there is that as well. On this top side, AT gun is going to open up onto the M3A1 half-track. That's got some really like obscure sight lines. But either way, did take the shot. M3A1 managed to get into cover. There is an M21 mortar carrier on the way up there, so that might be able to help dislodge that Pak 38. More infantry on the way. We've got the Panzerschreck trying to make some ground, get into range of these half-tracks, but needs to be within 250 meter range, and you can probably see that it is far from it at the moment. Panzergrenadier can maybe use some smoke to get it closer, but that's going to be a long shot. There is some Stosstroop on the way. Maybe they can try and make a move. Also, the 81mm mortar can also provide smoke, and I think that's exactly what Chickendew is doing now. Yeah, that was a smoke round. The reason I knew that was because of the ammo count in the bottom right. So he's just going to be smoking off these half-tracks and hoping that he can get his Stosstroop and Panzerschrecks as close as he likes to these half-tracks and be able to make some ground, using the Panzergrenadier smoke there as well. And I'm glad that Chickendew is sort of starting to use smoke like this, because it definitely forces the MagicMan back, even if he doesn't actually find the kills. So nice play out here out of Chickendew to find a way around these half-tracks and give himself an advantage in this town where previously he barely had any AT. The armoured rifles here are pinned down, and they have the potential to be surrendered if he's not too careful. He did try and fall them back there, but are they going to run into the 100 meter range of the Stosstroop? I don't think they are. Stosstroop though just going to smoke off that M3 half-track. There is an M4A1 on the way to reinforce here, but I'm not sure that's going to be much more useful either, especially with this 81mm mortar still putting down way more smoke. It's just constantly smoking, allowing Chickendew to make the ground, and he's actually found himself a 52% territory lead. Now there's a Stug 3 heading up towards the top side of the town. He's got a sort of attack move order here. Guess he's going to try and find shots onto these half-tracks. Does have to be careful. of a 6-pounder, or an M1 gun in this case, because they will be able to one-shot the Stug 3. That armoured rifle there still in a pretty bad spot. Panzerschreck still trying to make ground. Stosstroop gonna smoke themselves. I think they're gonna try and get into these buildings. Yeah, they are. Can he make it? That's the question. He's got to try and stay out of line of sight of those half-tracks as he continues forwards. If he can get in there and put them on return fire, that would be absolutely perfect. This Panzerschreck, though, is getting into position. That might find a shot shortly. Got to be careful, though. Doesn't want to unnecessarily engage into, like, 3 half-tracks. That would be really, really bad. Unit of Panzergrens do go down. These Stosstroop have not jumped into the building yet. Maybe he's avoiding that on purpose. I'm not so sure. The Panzergrenadier here need to be careful, need to get their smoke down. Otherwise they're going to be killed off very shortly. Okay, there we go. Smoke down. 81mm mortar is going to be taking on the enemy armoured leader here. And we're going to be seeing some reinforcing infantry come in to block off this salient that the Magic Man has access to. Ooh, Panzerschreck gets the driver wounded onto the M4A1. Does manage to get out of there before dying, which is really good. On the top side of the town, the Stug 3 is actually being engaged upon by the M1 gun, and this was something that I actually just mentioned. The M1 gun definitely a big threat to the Stug 3, and it looks like the Stug 3 may get killed off here. There's quite a lot of stress on that M1 gun, but with side armor now facing, with that Stug 3 kind of retreating here, it's not good. Not good, but thankfully out of 1,000 meter range. So Chickendew just about getting away with that one. On this top side, the Panzergrens have been pinned down by the half-tracks and the armoured rifles. The Pak-38 will have been pushed back by the M21. You can see that there has been a purchase of recon across the board, but Chickendew's taking his time to unload those. Panzerschreck goes down in this tree line. Stosstroop also going to be dying. The mortar there being out of smoke rounds does definitely make things a lot more difficult if your units get caught out in the open. But all the while, Chickendew is counting up the +1. He's on 52% territory lead, and that's all he needs for now. He just needs to keep those points ticking in his favour, give himself an advantage in the early game, which takes off the pressure in the late game, when the 3rd Armoured is going to be coming on strong. And, you know, having that sort of points buffer will be quite nice. Now the speed troop here are trying to make some ground, but it looks like they're not finding it. M3A1 half-track and the M21 mortar carrier both opening up with their 50 cals onto the speed troop there. Panzer Grenadiers still being hit here pretty hard. Probably be worth just moving them back to like a tree line that can't be covered by enemy half-tracks. Pak-38 almost finds a shot onto the M21 mortar carrier, but not going to be able to find the kill today. Panzergrenadier using the last of their smoke to allow the Stosstroop to run up here. Just going to try and get them into the church, I assume. On the bot side, there hasn't really been too much going on. No real aggression down here from either Magic Man or Chickendew. Most of the action occurring in the top. Magic Man slowly but surely making his push up here. And Chickendew is trying to make ground in the centre. But more reinforcements coming in for Chickendew on the top side. He's going to get an MG42 into the church here by the looks of things, unless that gets pinned down in the face of 2 half-tracks, which is pretty likely at this point. Yep, might even get killed off. That's just taken a lot of damage. Maybe an unnecessary death there for Chickendew's machine gun. Yep, it's gone. That's unfortunate. Not entirely sure that's what Chickendew had planned. These Panzergrenadier also revealing themselves by firing at the armoured rifles. That is not something that he wants to happen, because these Panzergrenadier are the only command in the area stopping anything from surrendering. Stug 3 is moving up the road here to join the top side. That will definitely help take out half-tracks and the M4A1 here. But the armoured rifles are close enough to hit this Stug 3 with a Zuka if Chickendew isn't too careful. And we might see that happen in the future, but we'll have to wait and see. Panzergrens are going to be opening up onto the armoured rifles in the centre, and there is now an M5A1 joining Magic Man on the bottom side, so it looks like he may go for a little bit of a push here. But since we've just moved into Phase B, M4A 376mm is going to be purchased from the Magic Man. Looks like Chickendew's Panzergrenadier also being forced to fall back here. Stug 3 not going to allow those armoured rifles to engage with their bazooka. Oh, Ju-87 comes in, one bangs the M21 mortar carrier. Very nice shot there indeed. I love these 1-star Ju-87s from the 17th SS, but I wouldn't expect the Magic Man to allow that to hang around in the air. Likely a Mustang will come in if Chickendew keeps that Ju-87 about, and he is not going to. So good choice, get that out of there. Don't give the Magic Man an excuse to buy a fighter. Oh, one shot there from the Stug 3. Gets the internal fragment onto the M4A1. That is very nice indeed. Also going to be hitting and forcing to fall back the M3A1. Very nice indeed. Stosstroop take out the armoured rifles. The Stosstroop may also take out this M3 half-track with their Panzerfaust. Yes, indeed. Going to make that surrender. And Magic Man's push is just falling to pieces here. Stug 3 is just going to charge him down. Manages to take out the half-track with its machine gun. And this has just turned completely in Chickendew's favour on the top side. In the middle, looks like this M4A3 is arriving to maybe help out with a little bit of a push here, but Chickendew's holding on with very minimal forces. It's like 3 strength squad of Panzergrens, 4 strength squad there. This Panzergren Fiala isn't in a building with no more smoke, only 1 health. Surprised he's being allowed to get away with that. But it looks like the Magic Man, with the arrival of the Stuart on the bottom side, is trying to put on some pressure here. Going to run some armoured rifle straight into the face of the Stosstroop though. So Spear Troop and the Panzergren's free to open up onto these armoured rifles. This Stug 3 is going to open up onto the scouts here. He's going to get the MG on target as well as the main gun. Going to absolutely demolish that recon squad. And now I'd very much like to see this Stug kind of get into a position where it can fire at this M4A1. But I'm sure that Chickendew knows that there's this M1 gun here, so that would be why he is not currently doing so. M4A3 also opening up towards this top side, and Chickendew is going to be well aware of that as well now. 81mm mortar going to be continuing the fire onto the armoured rifles here. I believe they're probably being spotted by these Panzergrens. M3A1 half-track though, going to try and create a little bit of a salient, but still the +1 in favour of Chickendew. And these Panzergrens easily won an engagement against the armoured rifles up here. So that is... well, things are going pretty well. It was amazing how well this Stug 3 just turned around that push on the top side. The half-tracks and the M4A1 were making a lot of ground until that arrived. But now completely pushed back. Chickendew just has to be careful not to be picked off by an M4A3 or the M4A1 when it gets resupplied, or even the M1 gun for that matter. A lot of threats here towards the Stug 3. And I think, honestly, the Magic Man might be looking for that shot, but Chickendew's not going to let it happen. There's also a Ju-87 coming in again, and that's now going to be going for the shots onto the M4A3 76mm. Can he find the kill? That is the question. He bounced off the front armour, shooter knocked out. Not going to be finding the kill anytime today. M3A1 half-track there with the 50 cal being ahead of the M4A3 76mm has forced the Ju-87 to fall back, and that is a very big move indeed. That's actually given time for this SDKFZ-10 to get into position with the Pak 40. Going to be unloading that in the face of the M4A3 and is going to be able to engage it. So that's going to be a nice engagement for sure. Going to get the driver wounded with the first shot, which is very nice. Needs to make sure that that Pak 40 continues to aim at the M4A3, but actually going to take on the M3A1 instead. I guess if he ignored the M3A1, it probably would have pinned him down, so probably just as well that he forced the M3A1 to move back a little bit there. On this bottom side, it looks like the 6-pounder did manage to kill off some reinforcing infantry, some Panzergrens for free. That's pretty tragic there for Chickendew on this bottom side. His Stosstroop has been forced back, but I'd like to see them actually get into these buildings. I feel like this is a bit of lazy micro on the bottom side. Chickendew could definitely just let them take cover here and sort of relinquish a little bit of territory towards Magic Man, but just keep his troops safe. I think that's more than fair. Speed Troop opening up onto the armoured rifles are going to reveal themselves. Probably not the best bet, but this Pak 40 being in this position has done very well for Chickendew so far. Forced back the M4A3, forced back the M3A1 half-track, and is now even taking shots at the M4A1. And all the while, still taking up the +1, so that's very nice indeed. Panzergrens on the bot, now being hit pretty hard by the M5A1. We see some stormtroopers, some Stosstroop, and the Panzerschrecks coming into the mid. Focke-Wulf 190 accompanying the Ju-87. And that Focke-Wulf 190 is going for the strafing run onto the M1 gun. I feel like that's a bit greedy, especially when you probably want it to defend the Ju-87. But now the Ju-87 is going to get forced back without any protection. And if the Magic Man purchased an aircraft at this point, I feel like Chickendew would be in trouble. But no Mustang coming out. It looks like the Ju-87's out alive. There is a 2-star CGMC here now anyway. So that's done a lot of damage to the Ju-87, which will mean that it will take a while to reload. And rearm, at least, because it will need to repair. But Pack 40 is now opening up onto the M4A3. The M4A3 is actually getting reasonably low on HE ammunition. There's only like 6 rounds left. And that's definitely something that the Magic Man will have to consider if he's going to try and engage a Pack 40 at max range. We see this 3-star Stug. It's going to come into 1,000 meter range of the M4A3. Oh, the first shot internal fragments. That M4A3 aimed so damn quickly. And Chickendew's Stug 3 is so dead unless he can get that out of line of sight. Looks like he was just able to. These M4A3 76mm are deadly. I absolutely love them myself. They are really, really strong tanks. So in this town, Stosstroop have come up to reinforce the Panzergrenadiers here, but we can see that the command in the town has died, which does mean things are a little bit vulnerable for Chickendew. Panzerschreck and Stosstroop, though, should be able to hold back the tide of any units that try and come through here. Also, the threat of the smoke from Chickendew is actually really nice, because he used that smoke previously to allow his Stosstroop and Panzerschrecks and so on to push forwards. And if he can continue to do that, that would be really, really nice to continue to push the Magic Man out of this town and gain himself more territory. Because now he's on 53%, and it doesn't seem like that's changing anytime soon. But with the internal fragments on this Stug 3, I'd like to see Magic Man go quite aggressive up here. He knows where the Pack 40 is on the bottom side of this town area. So he might be able to find his way into this town if he brought in a couple more infantry squads. Panzerschreck squad is going to go down here. We also see the Panzergrenadiers running into the rifles also died. So now only the Stosstroop with AT in the centre there. SBW 232 is going to be coming in to reinforce the centre, and it looks like the Ju-87, that's going to be trying to attack the top side once again. I'm not sure if Chickendew saw this CGMC before, but if he has already, then I think it's a bit dodgy bringing in the Ju-87 here on this top side. But does find the internal fire and the kill. Oh wow, the CGMC is just in a really, really terrible position right now. Yeah, it was just in a really bad spot. That Ju-87 shouldn't have had a chance to find that kill, but the CGMC blocked itself by being behind these trees, and that is tragic. Losing a tank like that when you had AA in the area is really, really heartbreaking. Anyway, 232 now going to be engaging the half-tracks there. Has come into the face of the M4A3 though, and the M4A3 2-star is going to slowly but surely kill off the 232, especially when it's got stuck in the corner. It's only a matter of time until that is killed off, so a free kill there for the Magic Man. And still no real AT in the centre here, unless these Stosstroop can find some ground. But if they've just thrown that smoke, there's going to be just a little bit of a giveaway. Befehl Panzer IV is arriving on the bottom side. This is actually quite a nice response to the Stuart and Pool that has arrived on this side. But another unit of infantry dying here before they are loaded is really, really not good news for Chickendew. He can't afford to let infantry die like that. His Pioneer squads, they cost 30 points apiece. His Panzergrens, they cost 30 points as well. So that's like 60 points just killed for free, without them, providing any presence on the field whatsoever. And that's just not good. You can't afford to do that. M3A1 has come in with some armoured LMG rifles now as well. They're going to start engaging these Panzergrens, I'm sure, and that's just going to open things up for Magic Man to push on this bottom side. But one thing I am surprised about, we've just moved into Phase C, and the Magic Man is going to have a lot of resources at his disposal. And it seems like across the board, Chickendew, is quite weak. He barely has anything to stop like a strong armor push coming through. So on this bottom side, Pool and the M5A1 only have to deal with the Panzer IV and the Pak 38. And if this Panzer IV goes down, like, that is a massive opportunity to push through there. In the center, there is quite simply 0 AT, and he really needs to be probing that with his infantry, like bringing up more infantry sort of reinforcements and continuing the push onto Chickendew's units. Now we've come into phase C, I want to see like a train of infantry come in and try and make some ground here, because there's nothing that would be able to stop them, especially if they come in with their half tracks, which they most definitely would, since it's the 3rd Armoured. On this top side, the Jumbo can actually afford to be quite aggressive. The Ju-87 going to get forced back there by the CGMC this time, so that's more what I'm talking about. There's not much of a chance that Ju-87 actually finding a kill if the CGMC is in the right place. So yeah, anyway, on the top side, as I was saying, Jumbo, supported by some infantry, can definitely make a lot of ground here. One thing that's really awesome about this Jumbo is it has 5 HE on its main gun, but it also has a 50 cal and 2 30 cals that it can put down range towards enemy infantry. And I feel like just in general, the Magic Man's being pretty slow on his aggression. Like, it just doesn't have any aggression. Is playing the game way too slow, allowing Chickendew to find himself 1,220 points at this point in the game with only 18 minutes left on the clock. He's certainly letting the timer tick down. He can't afford to waste too much more time, that's for sure. His Ju-87 didn't even get close to firing a shot at the Jumbo there. That CGMC just doing so much work. We now see this Stug 3 picking up ammunition once again. I'm not entirely sure why Chickendew moved away from the Opel Blitz munition there. Seems a bit odd. Must have been a bit of a misclick, especially with this second mortar arriving. Ju-87 has come in on the bottom and did kill off Pool. Pool is dead. P-51D Mustang is brought in. Focke-Wulf 190 brought in on the side of Chickendew. This is smart from Magic Man. He's going to try and fall back over his own AA. On the bottom side, Nebelwerfer 41 finally brought in. And that's going to be trying to hit this infantry so that the Befeld Panzer IV and the Pak 38 can make a push with the Pioneers. There is, however, an M4A3 here. And that's going to be able to engage the Pak 38 and the Befeld Panzer IV from 1,200 meter range, which the units of Chickendew cannot. So we won't be seeing anyone fire back there from the side of Chickendew. But that M4A3 backing off a little bit. I believe he's probably expecting this Befeld Panzer IV to push up to the tree line and then pop out and engage at 1,000 meter range, which would be a half decent idea, but the M4A3 does aim a lot quicker. Nebelwerfer 42 in the town, that managed to land on top of some of these half tracks. Seems to have left a dent in the Magic Man's defences there. But we now see a push from the M4A3 105mm and the 76mm in the centre here. And this Pak 40 is actually in a relatively nice position. If it's facing in the right direction towards either one of these tanks, we might see a kill here from the Pak 40. We also see double Ju-87. The first one's going to take the brunt of the AA. But with the Mustang coming in, well, I'm pretty sure he should find a kill. Looks like Magic Man pulled off the Mustang there and is going to allow his Mustang to get shot down by the Focke-Wulf 190 A8. Or Pak 40 does kill the M4A3 76mm. Might even kill the M4A3 105 if it can get its aim on before the 105 fires. But we'll have to wait and see. Really nice trade there though, and actually this is a good point, and this Stug 3 can kind of ignore the M4A3 because the M4A3 doesn't have any AP value. So if Chickendew plays this right, he could quite simply just like avoid the Jumbo for now and then engage the M4 105. But as I say that, the M4 105 actually lands a shot that's good enough to kill off the Stug, and I did not expect that to happen, and I'm pretty sure Chickendew probably didn't either. That was a very lucky shot there from the M4A3 105mm to actually find the kill. Normally, you know, you can count on that not working, but in this case, it did. It worked out for the Magic Man. So now he can just go aggressive because the Stug 3 is dead. Oh, Ju-87 though coming in once again. If that can find the kill onto the M4103, oh yes it can. M4A3 105mm. That's just gone, and that takes away something else that the Magic Man wants to use to make ground on this top side. Pack 40, is that coming into line of sight of these M3 half tracks? No, that's going to be the Panzergranates here. That Pack 40 though is going to be engaging these M3 half tracks. It's also engaging the Jumbo here, but that's not going to last very long as the crew just gets blown away by that shot from the Jumbo. This is just very interesting game because I feel like the Magic Man could have been a lot more aggressive, but as soon as he has been aggressive, he's just being pushed back every time. Like, he made a nice push on the top side here in the early game with those half tracks and the M4A1, but it got pushed back by that Stug 3, which is basically the matchup that I mentioned at the start. However, in the later game, there isn't really much that the 17th SS can do about a Jumbo, for example. Not without like over-investing into like Pack 43s. But it doesn't seem like Chickendew's going to be doing that. He's just using his Nebelwerfers here to hold back the forces of Magic Man and then relying on the Ju-87s, which is one way to do it, but I don't know, I feel like there's certainly, you know, weakness of forces for Chickendew on the ground. And that's something that Magic Man could have exploited, but yeah, every time he's tried, it just hasn't worked out so far. So what could Magic Man do at this point? In my opinion, he could probably try and consolidate his forces, because at the moment, as you can see, there's like an M4A1 in the centre. We've got an M5A1 down here with a Jumbo and an M4A3. You've got a Jumbo up on the top side with an M4, and there was also like the M4A3 and the 105mm. Imagine if all of those are in the same place. There isn't going to be much that stops that from breaking through. And what you can do on the places where you don't have those tanks is just have your AT guns and infantry and just hold back Chickendew in those areas. But yeah, he's not doing that, and it seems like maybe the pushes are just half-assed. He's got 150 points per minute, so he should be able to afford quite a lot of armor and make these pushes work, but so far that's not been the case. Jumbo though, pushing on this bottom side, definitely has potential. This Jumbo could just bump into the Pack 43, kill off the Pack 43, bump into the Pfeil Panzer 4, kill that off. At that range, I'm not entirely sure the Panzer 4 has penetration. You would need to be within 400 meter range, I think, for the Panzer 4 to be able to like actually penetrate him. So the Jumbo can just bounce shots off the front armor all day long. Oh, got to be careful with this M4A 376mm though. Okay, Jumbos and the M4A3 are in line of sight, and that is going to be a very dead Pack 43. Okay, that's good. Good start. Magic Man needs to take out this Pfeil Panzer 4, and he will be able to continue to push across this field all day long. However, there is now a Pack 43 on the way from Chickendew. There's also two Ju-87s coming into the bottom side, which yeah, are not covered by, or will not be covered by AA. Yeah, M4A3 76mm goes down very easily indeed. Oh, look at that. The Ju-87 twins popping quite a lot of units there throughout the game. But the Mustang going to eventually take down one. Focke-Wulf 190s are going to be able to get on the tail of the Mustang, but I'm not entirely sure why Chickendew ordered that back. I guess maybe to avoid AA, but with both of the fighters on the tail of that Mustang, it should have gone down. Now we see the Pack 43 arriving, and that's going to be engaging the Jumbo. Jumbo quite simply has to open up onto that now, or is going to die. Because that is a Jumbo killer. Jumbo killer is ready to go. And there we go. Jumbo's dead. And that's the armoured push on the bottom side. It's just completely gone from the Magic Man. And again, it comes down to the point where the Magic Man hasn't consolidated his forces. If all of those tanks were on the top side, covered by the two CGMCs up here, he wouldn't have seen the M4A3 go down to the Ju-87, especially when he knew the Ju-87s were around. Not having AA here to help out is actually a big mistake. But a really good response from Chickendew, bringing in a jumbo killer to get the job done there. Another Nebelwerfer opening up in the middle of the map here. We see the Nebelwerfer 42 crushing the command infantry of the Magic Man, and the Nebelwerfer 41's going to try and pin down the M4A1. Ju-87 has managed to get the track wheel destroy onto the M4A3 105, and that's again just going to remove another piece of the Magic Man's forces that he needs in order to push through. Pack 43 also coming to the top side now, and the only way that really these Pack 43s can be dealt with is either a Calliope or just some good mortar play, maybe using smoke to get close with some infantry and take them out, or you can just use the artillery and fire position in front of them with those M21 mortar carriers, because otherwise they have the same range. You can also block line of sight, so in this case on the top side, I'm not sure this Pack 43 is going to ever really be in a great position, because a mortar carrier could move up to this tree line and then have the 1,200 meter range onto it without being in direct line of sight. But there is plenty of infantry in the Magic Man's way, and I'm pretty sure that the Magic Man has run out of infantry availability at this point. That's what it seems like anyway. He played into Chickendew's hands in the early game and sort of almost wasted a lot of infantry, I guess. Ju-87 coming in once again. Oh, does manage to kill off the supply that was used by Magic Man to try and repair the M4A3. It looks like Chickendew is going to pay by losing his Ju-87. The fact that he has two Focke-Wulf 190 A8s on standby does make it seem as though that was a bit of a bad play. Like, the Focke-Wulf 190s ideally should come out with the Ju-87s, and then they're there to prevent the Ju-87 getting shot down in the first place, rather than letting it get shot down and then try and shoot down the enemy aircraft. It's easier said than done though. But here we see Chickendew going to be going for a little push on this bottom side. He's got the Stug 4s lined up, he's got the Pack 43 lined up, and the Stug 4s with the Befehl Panzer IV should be able to put a lot of hurt onto this bottom side. Even the M1 gun won't really be able to penetrate a Stug 4 at max range. So Stug 4 there opening up onto the M5A1, so is the Pack 43. That poor Stuart just got absolutely annihilated. 6 minutes and 40 seconds until victory for Chickendew, as we are going to be running down the clock. Well, all three shots there coming in onto the recon. Very nice indeed. M20 Command's going to try and get out of there. Not going to be successful. Going to get absolutely annihilated by the Stug 4s. This is actually a brutal push coming through here. Chickendew can't really allow the Befehl Panzer IV though to be killed by the M1 gun. That wouldn't be good. Especially when the Stug 4 can engage that from the 1,200 meter range. But I guess getting all of the tanks he can on target is one way to do it. We do see a truck go down there with the recon infantry inside it. So that was a nice kill as well from the Stug 4. And now it's just a matter of killing off the M4A3 and Chickendew pushing through to victory. These Stug 4s are also pretty good for dealing with the M4A3 76mm. So we'll have to watch out for that engagement. Befehl Panzer IV. I think they're all just going to engage that M4 105. They are indeed. But that Befehl Panzer IV definitely needs to move away, because that is at threat of being killed off by the M4A3. But the M4A3 has actually come into 1,000 meter range of the Befehl Panzer, so we might see the M4A3 get pinned. But we do see the M1 gun opening up as well. And now both the Mustangs coming in as well, just to help out. So the M4A376 just bouncing those shots from the Stug 4s. Focke-Wulf 190s coming in. They could probably go for a strafing run onto the M1 gun actually. I wouldn't mind seeing that. TGMC going to be going down in the bottom side. Looks like a reasonably good push coming through here from Chickendew actually. And there doesn't seem to be any threat elsewhere. Magic Man's just trying to push through on the top side by the looks of things with this jumbo. But other than that, not too much going on. The map has stayed relatively the same throughout the game, and that has constantly provided Chickendew with this +1 advantage. And you can see that Chickendew is just investing all of his points down to this bottom side, and like that doesn't matter to him. Like normally when you see like somebody invest all your points into one side of the map, it makes you weak elsewhere. But MagicMan isn't taking advantage of that at all. Pack 43 here, going to be taking a shot at the Jumbo, forcing it to fall back. Pack 43 probably going to get strafed by this Mustang. Yes, indeed. That's going to get pinned down, maybe killed off by the CGMC. But look at these Stug 4s making progress. There's also Pioneers coming into the bottom side, taking out these Armadillo MG rifles. And yeah, just really, really good so far. Focke-Wulf 190 is going to be trying to get onto the back of the P51. P51's pretty damn fast though, and Chickendew's going to get his planes out of there. So crew knockout onto the Stug 4. There has been the arrival of another M4A3 from MagicMan. There's also an M5 gun. And the M5 gun's pretty damn risky. But we finally see a Stug 4 get a penetrating shot onto the M4A3. And this has pretty much sealed the deal now on the bottom side for Chickendew. With these Stug 4s coming in and actually making ground, there is nothing else that the MagicMan can do to win this game. He would have to find like +5 at this point, and he is just not going to. He doesn't have enough time. And it seems as though just his lack of aggression throughout the game has kind of caused him to suffer. Also, we identified that he spread out his forces a bit too much. At least the sort of ideal units, the important units, the tanks basically. Not keeping them concentrated and not going for a concentrated push definitely allowed Chickendew to defend areas that he probably shouldn't have been able to if there was a few more tanks in that area. Anyway, Ju-87 is going to come in. There's no longer protection from the CGMC, so that's going to pick off the M4A1 there. And these Ju-87s throughout the game have done wonders for Chickendew. That one is going to finally go down to the Mustangs, and MagicMan's Mustangs have shot down 3 of those Ju-87s now, I think. But yeah, it's just game over now. Let's see if Chickendew can find himself a couple more kills. He's got plenty of Stug 4s here. There is like 3 Stug 4s, 4 Stug 4s, and the Nebelwerfer 42. And that Nebelwerfer 42 going to be opening up close to this M5 gun. Might actually find the kill onto the M5 gun. That would be very nice for Chickendew, because these 2 M5 guns at 2-star veterancy are actually very scary for his units. We also see a Nebelwerfer 41 coming down. Just going to try and pin these guys. Oh, 1 shot, 2 shots landed directly onto the M5 gun. MagicMan's just in a really bad spot. The M5 gun's actually going to open up here. That's going to allow the Stugs and the Pack 43 to open up. That's just going to be a dead AT gun very quickly. Okay, unless they miss, of course. The Stug 4s, they're both missing their shots. M5 gun is going to be falling back, so it gets out of line of sight. But now with only 50 seconds left on the clock, looks like MagicMan's hopes are completely shattered in this one. And Chickendew is just going to be adding insult to injury with an absolute spam of 222s and 232s out of the spawn in the late game. So we see these Stug 4s trying to find line of sight onto the M4A3 that was previously forced to retreat from the Nebelwerfer strikes. Do see a Calliope coming in on this top side, smashing this town to pieces. Well, that's going to be completely in vain now, since he doesn't have time to capitalize on that. So MagicMan is going to lose this one, and Chickendew's going to take the game. 3, 2, 1, and that's game done. So fantastic job by Chickendew securing the victory with the 17th SS versus the MagicMan, and I can reveal that after that game there was no other games played. So Chickendew moves on to round 2 of the lower bracket in the Chickendew's European tournament. And MagicMan is unfortunately knocked out of the tournament. And that was quite simply because the Magic Man couldn't find time to play his other games against Chickendew. So that's unfortunate, because this game was actually a pretty good one for sort of pointing out different issues and just strategies that both players used throughout. But I think in the most part, it mainly comes down to Magic Man's lack of aggression and lack of concentration of forces. And that basically sums it up. So if we go to the kills and losses, Chickendew there finding himself 3,115 kills to 1,665 losses. Didn't lose a single Conquest point to Magic Man either. If we go to the kills tab, we can see that the M4A1 in the mid actually got quite a few kills. We also saw the M5A1 on the bottom side do a great job as well, but just wasn't utilized to make ground. Was just kind of there as a preventative measure as opposed to an aggressive one. Mustangs did pick up the kills onto the Ju-87s in the end, which did provide a lot of points in favour of the Magic Man. But if we jump over to the losses, those Ju-87s definitely paid themselves off. This one killed an M4A 376mm, which already paid itself off one time. The M21 there, the M4A1. This Ju-87 took out an M4A3 and the M4A1. This one took out an M4A3. Half track and the GMC there, with which was basically the supply trying to fix the M4A3 on the bottom side. But then we saw the Stug 4s come in, just clean house on the bottom side. That was really, really nice. Just an aggressive play there from Chickendew in the end, when in the early game his infantry wasn't doing too well, and yeah, his forces in general were quite far behind, I feel like, in that early game. It's just Magic Man didn't take advantage of it, especially when the Panzergrens of the 17th SS don't have any AT. I think that's much easier to identify. Also, there's, I think, a maximum of 4 Stosstroop in Phase A for the 17th SS, so if that's knowledge that you hold on to going into a match like this, then you should be able to count the deaths of those Stosstroop and then work around that in Phase A, assuming that you kill them all quick enough, because otherwise you'll just get more reinforcements coming in Phase B, and that kind of goes out the window. But either way, guys, that's going to be all for now. Pretty damn awesome game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.